Sweet surrender as I love, serve, and remember.
Okay, well, I'm going to begin with this prayer. I'm going to have you repeat after me, just so you know it's this long. It does have an ending. It might seem like it goes on a little bit, but the words are really good, and they're more meaningful if we repeat them. So I'm going to just repeat after me. Oh, for many of you may already know it. It's from Tosha Silver's book, It's Not Your Money. It's one of her prayers. So it's about prosperity and abundance, but it's, as we teach all the time here, prosperity and abundance is not just about money. It's about a way of being, a consciousness. And so this is a beautiful prayer to open up to that. So repeat after me, okay? And feel it too, if you can. Divine Beloved, allow me to give with complete ease and abundance. Knowing you are the unlimited source of all. Let me be an easy, open conduit for your prosperity. Let me trust that all of my own needs are always met in amazing ways. And it's safe to give freely as my heart guides. And equally, please let me feel wildly open to receiving. May I know my own value, beauty, and worthiness. Without question. Let me allow others the supreme pleasure of giving to me. May I feel worthy to receive in every possible way. Change me into one who can fully love, fully forgive, and fully accept myself. So I may carry your light without restriction. Let everything that needs to go, go. Go. Let everything that needs to come, come. I am utterly your own. You are me. I am you. We are one. And all is well. And so it is. Isn't that a beautiful prayer? I hope I don't call you up, but my beloved husband says that prayer every day. I can always hear him whispering it in the corner. It's beautiful. All is well. There are so many spiritual teachers who say this in their teaching. Ultimately, everything is well. Jesus had 16 revelations with Julian of Norwich, but the one that is most famous that he says to her is, all is well, all shall be well, and all matter of things shall be well. 3 times he said it. All will be well, all shall be well, all manner of things shall be well. He was really emphasizing that ultimately everything is well. So this month we've been looking at self-realization, self-actualization, and we're looking at it from all different aspects. And so we want to not say one is better than the other, but they're all needed. So we began the month with my beautiful, colorful little mountain here. So the idea is that we progress up the mountain. Sometimes we have starting places. This isn't just individuals, but cultures, the planet. We've been evolving. Individually, we're evolving, and we grow, and we push, and it gets thinner and thinner up here, and we get to the top. There's that striving. And so I was talking about most mountains, there's a mountain range. So there's self-actualization, which are different human things we want to achieve, whether it's in art or music or athletics or in numbers and math or cooking. There's all millions of different relationships. Did I say money, health? There's just all these human things we want to achieve, and then I was using this as sort of a spiritual mountain, but we want to grow. We want to go past the boundaries of where we were before and go to new heights. That's one model. Remember, we want all of them. And then last week we talked about healing. Healing is where, no matter where we are, if something happens that's blocking us, we need to stop. Rest is so important while we're healing, to rest, to just simply be, and then feel into those feelings and heal them and that often can take years. And sometimes we do have to go back and heal traumas from the past, and sometimes it's just something that's happening in that moment. And sometimes it's a short rest, sometimes it's several years, but either way, that healing is so important, a part of our journey, such an important part of our journey. Anything that's blocking us from expanding. So when we're going past our borders, it's an interesting thing, because if we're trying to push past our borders, we want to push, but if we're trying to grow to escape healing, then those things that we're trying to escape are ultimately going to become real problems if we don't deal with it. So we might actually escape healing here, but if we get all the way up to here and we haven't done healing work, it's going to really start hurting really badly. So the healing work is essential for the growth work. They all work together. But there's a third piece that we need to remember, and what our teaching is constantly reminding us, that this is a magic mountain, because there's an inner mountain, right? And this is how all shall be well and how everyone wins. I actually got the title of Everyone Wins from the Building Your Dock, because I wasn't really liking the title I had. I'm like, that's it, everyone wins, all shall be well. There's 8 billion people climbing this mountain right now that are on the planet currently. Every one of them, all of us, have access to the inner world. You don't have to be up here to get access to the inner kingdom. No matter where you are on the journey, at the beginning, no matter what, you have access to pure spirit, to the all shall be well. This is a really important point. I was listening to Father Maximos, who was telling a story about a young monk who is having trouble in his monastery. He keeps getting into fights with people and just edginess. And so he goes to his elder and he says, I need to go on a pilgrimage. I have to work this stuff out inside of me. And the elder said, well, you can work on that stuff here and work it through. He goes, no, I need to go to Jerusalem and find that holy place inside of me. And he said, you don't need to do that. He goes, I need to do it. He goes, okay, you have my blessing. But please, when you go, will you bring this bundle? He made a bundle of a garlic, onion, and a pepper. And he wrapped it up, and he said, can you do me a favor? When you go to all these shrines along the way, and when you're at Jerusalem, can you rub this bundle on all the shrines so you can bring back some of that holy energy here, so I'll have a talisman full of holy energy? He said, yes, of course. So the monk goes off. He's gone for several months. He comes back. And at first he's pretty high from his journey, but as he's settling back in, the same problems start showing up. And the elder says, can you bring me your bundle? And he goes, yeah. And he opens, he goes, look, a garlic is still a garlic. An onion is still an onion. A pepper is still a pepper. You can touch all the holy shrines you want, but you have to go inside. You can do the external work. You go on pilgrimage, touch things, get all this stuff, but it's the inner work that will change us, and ultimately we're always going to be who we are, but it's the inner work that will find the healing. Then the question I ask is, well, then what's the point of going up the mountain? Because the mountain is the human realm. We're still in the human realm. So sometimes, I'm sure you've all experienced it, you can go inside and have these deep moments of peace, of joy, of love, and then you go out into the world, and it all falls apart. I remember I had, when I first went to Agape, I joined the staff and the head of the office manager, been through all the classes, she's a practitioner, she's really like a big person on the campus. And then she got into this relationship, and she said, man, you can think you're a guru until you get into a relationship. It all falls to pieces. So we need, this is the human stuff out here. And part of going up that mountain, one of the great things, that's one of the things that I loved about Science of Mind when I came here. I had been studying the things that we teach here. I've been studying for about 6 years, in all different ways, but it was sort of was all random. And so when I found Centers for Spiritual Living, I loved that it was like this step-by-step process of growth. And I wanted to do that. I wasn't sure about the practitioner yet, but I liked that they had it. And then I did the practitioner, and it kept going in that growth. That's all going up the mountain. Yoga classes is the same thing. My brother's a yoga teacher. We have, Marcella's not here today, our yoga. The thing in the yoga community, they tell everyone, it seems like there's so many people who become yoga teachers because we want to grow. So, and then it's how many hours in yoga, like 200 hours, 300 hours, 400 hours. And so no matter what we do, no matter how spiritual it is, if you're playing the piano, you can do skills once a week, or you could do skills every day. And the person who's going to spend hours is going to get better. So there's no question putting all those hours in makes a difference. It does make us grow. And the cool thing is when you take classes, whatever it is, wherever you're doing with other people, so you get the support and the help, and you build some of your deepest relationships, so you're not going up the mountain by yourself, but with community and grace going up that mountain. So that's the purpose. It's integrating that inner world. But it doesn't matter where we are, and we don't even need to be part of a community, because maybe, I'm thinking all of you have had some sort of experience on your own, which is why you're here, where you've just touched that inner world. So one of the things that Jesus says is, seek first the kingdom of God, and all things shall be added. The more we start connecting with our inner kingdom, that's where the kingdom of heaven is, and the queendom is within us. When we touch that place, the outside the healing happens more quickly, that we were talking about last week. We start to feel more whole. No matter where we are on the journey, we realize, oh, just where I am is perfect. Just where I am is perfect. I think of, well, I have a couple examples. So should I go with the human example or I'll do spiritual teacher first because it's holy, but then I'll go into the human one. So I think of Shunryu Suzuki, who was, when he was a Zen monk and then a priest, was during Japanese's highly nationalistic time, World War II. So he's with very radical people, and he's just apparently kept quiet and just kept doing his inner world. Somewhere along the way, he really had this longing to come to America and bring Zen to America. So he put in requests, and he finally came at the exact right time. He couldn't plan it. He didn't know. So he's in a highly rigid, lots of rules, dogma, we're better than everybody, dominant. And then he comes to America, and the temple they give him is right in the middle of Haight-Ashbury in the 60s. Totally opposite culture. Totally, and I would say even a tad bit more evolved. It's done some work. It didn't matter. He could meet them as well because he was operating from the inside of the mountain. Once we start getting into that inner world, we're free. The mountain starts to drop away, and we can meet anybody where they are because we're connected with that eternal absolute nature. And that's why we start with seek first the kingdom of heaven, which is within, the kingdom of divine, the queendom of love, peace, and joy. Seek that first, and then we can meet the outside circumstances, whether we're healing, growing, it doesn't matter. We can meet it because we're anchored in that power and that presence. It also helps us to become more present to our human journey, where we can enjoy it more and experience those miracles in everyday life. There is a gentleman named Coleman Domingo. He played Rustin in the movie Rustin. Did anyone see Rustin? I highly recommend it. Baynard Rustin was a guide for Martin Luther King, and actually was the one who really started teaching him about Gandhi. When he met Martin Luther King still had guns in his house, and he was the one who taught him about nonviolence, but he was also openly gay, which is why we've never heard of him. He was we don't accept him in our world, but brilliant, brilliant man. And so that's what the movie's about. Rustin, he's up, so now the guy who played him, Coleman Domingo's up for an Oscar. That was just a side. So I was watching Coleman Domingo, and he was telling this great story, and it's about being fully present on the journey, because people have asked him, aren't you just so happy that, because he's old, he's in his 50s, and they're like, you finally have made it in the acting world. You've been doing this forever, for your whole life, and now you've made it. He goes, are you kidding? I've enjoyed every bit of my journey. I am a journeyman. I have loved working in bars, auditioning, the whole process. I'm not here to get to the top. I'm here to be fully present for every experience I have along the way, and I've been happy every bit of the way. I haven't arrived. I've been here all along. That is a guy who is fully alive. That is a guy who's connected to his core essence. And another person said to him, you're so magical, and your whole life is so magical. And it's because he knew who he was. He is connected. So he tells this great story where he lives in New York. He comes to Berkeley for a job. He needs to go to Walgreens to get some stuff. He's on the phone. This is 2005. He's walking out of the Walgreens store, and he sees this guy walk by, and he's like, whoa, he's beautiful. And the guy's talking to another woman, and they're talking animatedly, and the guy keeps looking at him, and then they walk away, and the guy he's like trying to get him to come, but he doesn't come, but he keeps looking at him. And so there's, this was a group conversation, and everyone seemed to know what he was talking about. Have you heard of something called misconnections? Yeah, I never heard of it either. So there's something on the computer that is misconnections, and the people were saying, oh, we never think, we just read it, we love reading it, but we don't think anything happens. So he said, well, I thought, well, I might as well try it. So he went to the computer, this is like a week later. He said to put on, oh, I missed this connection, and he's going through it. This guy said, I missed your connection. I saw you just as you were walking out of Walgreens in Berkeley. He's like, that's me. He's describing me. So he put on his thing. They met 3 days later, and he said, we were cuddling, and he fell asleep, and I whispered into his ear when he couldn't hear me, I think I love you, and I think you're going to change my life. And then 19 years later, he's been with him ever since, and they're married. A moment, this beautiful moment, he could have missed it if he's always looking forward, if he's always trying to look ahead, if he's always trying to climb that mountain, and he's not going to be happy until he gets to the mountain. He wasn't. He was just present. He felt the connection, the magnetism, but then he took action. He wasn't afraid to just live in the moment, live and follow his heart. What if we do that, if we're getting all these signals from our inner mountain, from our inner self, giving us signals, but we're not paying attention enough to follow through? It's all already well. It's all already been given. The goodness is already been given. We need to pay attention. This really came home to me when I was so Mark Kenward, he came here to do a solo class with some people, took solo performance. And before that, years earlier, I had said, I want to become a better writer. And so he hooked me up with a guy named David Field. Turns out it was solo performance. I didn't want to be performing. I wanted to write. So I didn't stay in the class, but it was the 2 classes I was in was very interesting because he asked us to pick a scene, which I did. And I'm telling the story, but I have to get a story in 20 minutes. Or I have a talk in 20 minutes, so I have to tell stories quick, to the point, not. So I'm telling this story. I have a very definite agenda. I'm trying to get up the mountain with my story. Like, this is where it's leading. And he kept stopping me. And he'd say, okay, wait. So what does the room look like? I don't know what the room looked like. What color were the walls? White? I don't know. Did it have a trim? A trim? I don't know if it had trim. Why does it matter if it had a trim? I have a great story to tell, and you're not letting me tell it. Because I was trying to push to the ending of the story, and he was demanding that if I'm going to tell a story, to be present in each and every moment, because by telling the details of the story, she's nodding because she's a writer. She knows these things. When I'm reading fiction books and they get to those really descriptive parts, I just skip right on over. I'm just trying to get to the end. Sorry, to all writers, to all people who love words. So he was trying, what I was learning from him, forcing me to do this in a class in front of people, to feel by being aware of all the details, it wasn't that the details were important, it was about being present in the moment, because every moment has energy. Every moment has energy, but we can't pick up on that energy if we're a little bit shut down. If I'm a little bit so much in my head, I can't actually feel fully about the thing I'm experiencing in the present moment. It's all already been given, but are we receiving? Are we feeling into? Would we have caught that moment? He caught that moment with the guy, that magnet. Would we catch those moments? Because are we in our head going somewhere else? I'm always in my head. That's why this is such a big lesson. We need to, so just even now, are you aware of everything that's happening? The swirling of the fans for you online, are you your room, the walls, the people sitting next to you, are you touching elbows, or you have space? What's going on with your body? How's the chair? What's the floor? Just like be fully aware, not because the environment is telling you who you are, it's leading to you to be present to the inner mountain. And the inner mountain only shows up in the present. It doesn't show up in the future. It's not going to show up when you're at the top of the mountain. It's showing up right where you are right now. Isn't that awesome? This is how everybody wins, when we are fully present right now to the kingdom, queendom of heaven within us. And it's here. It's not in some other country. It's not in some holy shrine. It's wherever you are in each and every moment. And I almost didn't hear, I had the final point came this morning. And I love how it shows up. I was in a conversation with two other ministers, and they were bringing up Lynn Twist's book. Has anyone read Lynn Twist's book, The Soul of Money? So she had facilitated an incredible conference years ago. So I listened to her, and she's amazing, but so I looked her up this morning because I wanted to hear what they were talking about specifically. And she hit the point that was been going on in my mind all week. I said, man, if we're that good, if this teaching is so good, why aren't we doing more to go out and impact people who don't have? And that's exactly how she's lived her life. So she has all these stories of being in third world countries about people who seem to not have things. And she especially works with women. And they don't have education, they don't have money, they don't have power. And she said, but I've learned from all my work, because her commitment that she had made many years earlier was to heal world hunger. She has small goals. So she's there working with people, and she said, I no longer refer to them as poor, because I realized how rich and how full she said these were women who have lost so much, don't have education, and yet the creativity that they have to come up with every day to feed their family, to move through life, to figure out the social structure so they can survive and have deep connections with each other. The compassion, the wisdom. She said they had so much inside, and coming from a culture. So what she decided to say, their environment they might have low resources in their environment, but they themselves are enough. What we teach, that they are the fullness and the wholeness of pure spirit. She speaks to secular audiences, but it starts coming through, and they're all whole perfectly. I know where you got that. The wholeness and the perfection. So she tells this story of, it's just beautiful. So there was these Ethiopian women, and she started a circle with 7 other women, and all of them had lost their children. One of the women had 11 children, and all of them died from starvation, not from anything other than they couldn't get food, and as a mother not being able to feed her, she was trying to nurse him, but she hadn't had any water in 7 days, so she couldn't nurse. The child dies. So she took these 7 women. She goes, and you can't tell really their age because they're so thin. There's nothing there, so they look very much older, she thinks. But so she wasn't quite sure where they were age-wise, but it didn't matter. She just sat with them. So she created this circle, and she said we spent 5 days and 5 nights together, and we went through everyone's child who they lost. And we grieved and talked about every child and honored each and every child. So we felt and connected in deep emotion. And she said, after the 5 days and nights and the full honoring and sacredness of these children's lives, she asked the women, now can you join me and connect with one another to do whatever you can to commit that this doesn't happen to other women? And they all made that commitment. These are women who had no education, who could not read, had no money, no power. So we think of them as poor, but she saw who they really were, and they started to build this powerful connection with the 7 of them. And then Lynn connected with 7 women in New York City who had an environment. She said, I no longer call people rich or poor. Their environment, they had a lot of resources, education, money. So she connected the 7 women in the group in New York City with the 7 women in Ethiopia, and they so bonded that they became like sisters. And she said, we followed them over the years, and she said, of the 7, 3 of them we're not sure what happened with them. But 4 of them, who could not read, had lost children, so they were further along in their life, have gotten PhDs, Masters of Business, had done, I didn't memorize everything, but it was jaw-dropping, like what these women have done and how they are serving the people in their country. She said, because they were always enough. They always were enough. They had everything they needed. They just needed someone to see that and to see that in themselves. And the moment they started seeing that in themselves and each other, regardless of their circumstances, everything started to shift. And that's how we begin to heal our planet, is to realize it's all already been given. When we go within and realize we all are enough. Because the thing that she pointed out was it doesn't matter how much money you have or don't have, or how many things you have or don't have. It often doesn't impact how enough we feel. She said our culture of always wanting more and more actually leads us to feeling less than enough. And so she was really big. It's interesting. She said, I don't think we're trying to become overly abundant, because that, if you're trying to get overly abundant, that comes from a not enoughness. But to find the fullness and the wholeness and the richness of just being fully enough. And when we start to feel fully enough is when we start outpouring and giving towards others. Because we don't need to stack up anymore. We don't need to keep gaining more for ourselves because we already know we're enough. I don't need to keep getting and getting because I'm enough. So I can't help but want to pour it out towards other people. Everyone wins. Yeah. When we know who we are. And a prayer, what I loved about her example is, I have so many examples, but I didn't have a lot of examples. David Alt, whose song Joni sang this morning, he's gone over and he started an orphanage in Cambodia. He's feeding people in India. When we take these principles, and we need just as much help here in the United States, these principles work for everyone. Because everyone on this planet, regardless of their stories and circumstances and conditions, every human being, every living being is enough. And the greatest gift we give to them and to ourselves is that we are enough, just as we are right now in this moment. And when we live that way, we start seeing the miracles and the magic of our own mountains. And we live that magic mountain. So I want to end one more time. We're going to end with this prayer, and then I'll just do a very brief treatment. But I think it's just to keep us in that flow, because the thing I love about this prayer is it just opens us to the inner mountain. And that's what we want to do, and allow the flow of the giving and the receiving to be from that flow. So I'm going to do it a little bit faster. If you can't catch the words, just sort of feel the energy of it. Divine Beloved, allow me to give with complete ease and abundance, knowing you are the unlimited source of all. Let me be an easy, open conduit for your prosperity. Let me trust that all of my own needs are always met in amazing ways. Are always met in amazing ways. And it's safe to give freely as my heart guides. And equally, please let me feel wildly open to receiving. May I know my own value, beauty, and worthiness without question. Without question. Let me allow others the supreme pleasure of giving to me. May I feel worthy to receive in every possible way. Change me into one who can fully love, forgive, and accept myself. Forgive and accept myself, so I may carry your light without restriction. Let everything that needs to go, go. Let everything need to come, come. I am utterly your own. You are me. I am you. And we are one. All is well. And so we just give thanks for the awareness that we are one, that we live in the one flow, the infinite abundance of the universe that is giving herself to herself all of the time as each and every one of us, every atom and cell of our bodies, our emotional bodies, our mental bodies, everything that we get to experience as our unique individuation of spirit is being given to by pure spirit, by the living energy of God that is unending, that is always flowing, giving and receiving, flowing in, through, and as. Every aspect of our life, we are in heaven now. We are in that consciousness now. It has already been given, and we are here to receive and to express the glorious gifts of pure spirit that we know we are. And so I give thanks for this community and for the glorious gift of spirit that this Lighthouse Center for Spiritual Living community is. That this community is a living energy, a living vibrational frequency of pure spirit. It is alive. It knows the source. It is of its beautiful expression on earth. That this presence of the Lighthouse is enough, just as it is right here and right now. And as this beautiful community, we are enough, and we pour forth from that enoughness out into the world. We give back with so much joy, freedom, and unlimited good because we are already here. We've already arrived in that consciousness. And it is from this always already consciousness of love and the freedom and that all is well. We take a moment just of tenderness as we bless. There have been members of our community who have experienced loss this past week. We bless Rich as he moves into his greater yet to be, as he continues to grow and evolve in that all is well consciousness in different dimensions, and yet we know that his soul is closer than ever before to all those who love him. And we bless Annie, his beautiful mother. We bless Peggy and Amber, knowing that Amber is on the other side of the veil, already surrounded and enfolded in divine healing light, as is all those who have loved Amber on her journey. And then for those of you who have experienced loss, we know that that tenderness and that love is always with us. That healing energy is always with us. And we remember to remember all is well. All the time. All the time. All is well. And so in the grace and the beauty and the joy of this awareness, we just release this word now. Ooh, and I speak a special word for these next 4 weeks, knowing these are the most amazing, beautiful, radiant month of February and March for the Lighthouse Center for Spiritual Living. I bless all the beautiful ministers who are coming to share and uplift their gifts with their talks and their workshops, and I love this community so much, and knowing that this community is participating and creating even as we are receiving and giving for all of the good, and more than words could ever possibly say. I just say thank you, God, and so it is.
I walk in God in all